Bertie said that there's this great drill that he really wanted to share with Be Better golfers about, what would you call it, lag pressure at impact?
This is focused on feeling what you're supposed to feel at impact, okay? So if I get into a position where this alignment rod is stuck into the ground quite a long way so I can resist against it, if I get into a position where I'm going to address to hit that bottom of that alignment rod, if I move from that position into impact, I can rotate my hips and get more lateral weight and weight shift into my lead foot. And then I can clearly put my hands further forwards until that impact line is pointing up to my eyes, okay? So instantly from the camera angle, you can see that I've got forward shaft lean here. Mm-hmm. But what that means is that if I was to try and push the club head through to the target from this position here, I can apply the pressure from the weight of my body rotating down into the ground. So I'm kind of pushing my right hip, my trail hip, down into the ground and using the weight of my body to push my hands. And you can see I can resist against that alignment rod, and where I'm feeling the pressure is under the pad of my lead hand and the forefinger of my trail hand. So I'm feeling the pressure there and there. Okay, so that's up here and down there. That's maximizing the distance between the pressure points. So I'm creating the maximum amount of leverage I've got on the grip.
So will you have people get on this, and then step back and hit balls,
exactly.
As they still have that feeling in their body?
Exactly, but one step further than that, Brendan.
Yeah.
This moves onto divot patterns. Okay, so the optimal impact position, the beauty of the optimal impact position, is that it's the same whether you're hitting a draw or a fade. Okay, so I can apply lag pressure to this, and I can feel now as if I'm moving the club left of the target. So I'm kind of feeling the pressure I need to feel to hit a fade. Mm-hmm. And then if I try to sort of swing the club further out to the right, I'm reaching the same position from this face-on perspective, but I'm kind of feeling that my hips and my shoulders are facing sort of more down the line or even close to the target. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm applying a different pressure to that alignment rod, but the impact line allows me to feel where that should be. And like you said, then you can step away and just hit a shot. So I can feel that kind of pressure I want to exert through the golf ball.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Okay. So I'm hitting getting through and feeling that pressure going down into the ground after the ball.
If you could take a time machine and have an hour-long conversation with yourself at 19, what would you do? What would you tell yourself?
I would say focus on the critical. And what that basically means is you don't hit the golf ball at the top of the backswing, you hit the golf ball at impact. Yeah. And you can shortcut the learning process by focusing on the feelings that you should want or need to feel at impact.
Okay.
By having an awareness of where your body and the club head and the hands need to be to strike the golf ball properly.
You think back then you were concentrating a lot on extraneous...
I had a horrible swing. I was focused. I had a thinny fade. I didn't strike the golf ball solidly. If you had TrackMan back in those days, the smash factor would be pathetic.
Okay. Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to develop all of these all of these alignment training aids to help myself really in my own golf game, and then thought if it works for me, it must work for a lot of other people as well. A lot of people say, oh well, you don't want they use the term lean angle, right? And clearly you want lag tension, but lag tension is the correct term because clearly when we're hitting a driver, the ball is further forward than our stance. It's off our lead foot.
Yeah, shaft lean. So
you don't want shaft lean with a driver necessarily,
right?
Because that would hit the ball down into the ground. Yeah. But because the ball's further forwards, it's opposite our kind of lead foot. That's going to be our impact position there.
So we got the shaft straight up and down.
Yeah, but it's trailing behind an extension of my lead forearm.
Yeah.
So my impact geometry is exactly the same. That basically means the club face is under tension. It's more stable. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Now that's the driver, right? So this is a wedge. So clearly the only difference between the two is that the ball position with a wedge can be further back in the stance. Okay. And if I point the impact line up to my eyes, again you can see. Yeah. If you bring that alignment rod here.
Oh, it's the same amount.
Yeah, it's exactly the same amount.
Yeah.
But I've got forward shaft
that much, yeah.
Because the ball's further back in the stance. Does that make sense?
Yeah, right. So somebody will say, like, oh, if you're chasing after shaft lean with this club or that club, you have so much with one club and so little. But it's the lag tension is the thing that's the same.
The impact geometry stays the same. It's just the lag tension is there as well. So it's not necessarily about shaft lean because that's misleading, right?
It's interesting, too, because when you do stuff like this, rather than doing other stuff, hoping that you get in good impact. If you do stuff like this, it's really giving yourself a really good lesson because you're feeling things.
Well, you can tell me where you're feeling that, right?
Yeah. You're right. I feel it up here and down here, and then also a little bit more rotated that way and less slidden that way.
I feel as if you're trying to hit one as if you're holding off cut. Oh, and that's ripped. Absolutely ripped. And look at that strike on the ground, Brendan. Look at that ball, that low point there.
Right.
Way out in front.
Put the ball level with this, and then that's fun.
Now, if you do the opposite, if you do what a struggling golfer would do, you can do that here again, right? Against the post.
Okay, good.
They'd be feeling pressure here and the forefinger of the trail, the lead hand.
Yeah, you're
so
right.
the leverage point changes from basically one side of the hand to the other, which means you've got less leverage, which means you've got less control.
Okay, here's a great at-home drill you can do just with a hard object. I'm going to use a table in this case and a towel just to protect it so that you don't damage anything. And all you're going to do is just rehearse the conditions for impact. At the end of the day, the golf swing, no matter how you do it, the moment of truth is the bit that counts. So you can really rehearse that feeling and get all the ingredients you need at impact. So let me show you how you do that. So just set up as you would normally, put a little bit of pressure against the towel and against the object, then start to create the conditions. So there's a pressure and a mass shift. The mass shifts about 3.5 inches. The pressure shifts into the middle of the lead foot. Then start to extend your lead side. You can see how my lead leg is straightening. My lead shoulder's going up and back. My rib cage is rotating. My hips are rotating, which is putting pressure against this object. My hands are getting forward, my lead arm's rotating, and my wrist is getting inflection or getting flat. So I'm creating some shaft lean, some body rotation, some extension, and some side bend. And I'm just going to constantly just keep doing that, just trying to move the object like this, just to get the feel of what impact would feel like. And there's lots of idiosyncratic swings out there, but they all end up with a decent moment of truth. Work on your moment of truth at home, you're going to emerge a better player.
And so then what I get on it, I can get shaft pressure and face pressure on it. I'm trying to match the arm speed with the body turn, spinning the arm down without losing the right wrist. And that's why Hogan says, I wish I'd have got 3 right hands, because he could compress the ball with 3 right
Not
hands.
this.
No.
Yeah.
So your forearm turns down, but you maintain the pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I can maintain the pressure on the shaft with the right hand and move it to finish. So I've got shaft pressure, face pressure, and I've got right wrist pressure all the way through. Because most people are throwing it.
I guess compressing the ball, that's what I've probably increased more than anything with working with Sean. I used to try and sort of be very shallow and return the club at 90 degrees. I now have a little bit of forward lean with the hands at impact, and I feel like that really, really helps my strike, but also it stabilizes the face through impact as well. I think if you do that, you're going to start to at least give yourself a chance to make a good impact.
You can see Rick rehearsing the feeling of a lag impact right here.
I've got the feeling, it feels good.
Love that. Beautiful golf swing there. That was nice. And the divot here, ball, then turf in front of it that way.
I'm feeling more like I'm in the position that I showed you of impact that you asked me to do.
Yeah. If we clean up and improve the impact, everything's going to get better, right? Everything is going to get better.
If you can't go to impact and show me where you want to be when that club runs into the ball, I don't care how good your backswing is or your downswing or your follow-through, you're never going to be as good as you could be. One of the very first skills is what is impact. So if you can't stand there and go, okay, here's where I need to be set up, there's how I run into the ball, and tap it so you feel where you're supposed to be at impact, I'm not sure you should be working on these big global patterns. It makes no sense to start with a golf swing, to start at address, and then go to here, and then go to here, and then go to here. Oh, and then we're going to get to impact. No, you should start with impact and understand what that is. And then you build your swing from impact to the top back to address is a more efficient way to build it. Because then the taskmaster in your brain takes over, and a lot of the problems that you have will just go away. Because those problems are movement patterns that have no relevance to where you're trying to get to at impact.
Using the impact line in your pre-shot routine reminds and helps you rehearse the forward handle position and de-lofted square club face that produce a lag impact.